It's time to discuss the Twitter files. Before we get into this video, guys, we're going to be talking about the Twitter files. We're also going to be talking about Musk saying that he's not suicidal. We're also going to be talking about why it was this where it could have been a little bit more effective than what it actually was. This also includes the left-wing cope, and there's also going to be an update section that I edited into the video from last night. That right there will be on the back half of the video. It's about 5 or 6 minutes long, so make sure you guys stick around for the full video so that way you guys can kind of get an idea of exactly what is going on this side of the aisle. So on Friday, Elon Musk chose to allow Matt Taibbi to release the quote-unquote Twitter files. By the way, the Twitter files, I'm kind of running around for the first couple of minutes in this video, obviously for purposes of not allowing this video to get out, because of course certain trigger words trigger the algorithm into not allowing your video to take off in the algorithm. By the way, once again, this right here is a video that needs to get up in the algorithm and actually be shared like crazy. So make sure you guys hit that like button to beat the algorithm. Also, if you guys can, leave a comment, give you guys your actual thoughts. I want to hear what you got to say, and let's go ahead and dive into this.
It was effed up, quote unquote. Elon Musk is dropping some Twitter files on their censorship of the Hunter Biden laptop story. Fox Business correspondent Kelly O'Grady is here with the latest. Kelly.
Hi, good to see you, Jesse. Yeah, Elon just held everyone's Friday night hostage with these bombshells. So I kind of want to walk you through what's going on here. So journalist Matt Taibbi is painting a very long run-up. I think we're at 34 or 35 tweets. It might have changed while we're on the air of how Twitter suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story. So here's what we know thus far. First, Twitter suppressed the story by removing links, posting warnings that it may be unsafe, and even blocked transmission of it via direct message. We learned from these tweets that that's actually a tool that was reserved for child pornography. Now, this all escalated when Kayleigh McEnany had her account locked for sharing it. There was an inquiry made from the Trump social media team that led to a lot of back and forth then between internal teams, Twitter's communications team, and their policy team. I want to bring up this tweet. It was numbered 21 in Taibbi's saga here because it shows evidence of why Twitter censored the story. So it says, per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity for violating our hacked materials policy, adding them here for further insights and guidance. Now, it gets confusing because Taibbi is saying that sources share that the government had not confirmed that hack through sources. Over the next few tweets, we're learning that Jack Dorsey was not involved and that this decision really came down to Vijaya Gadde. She's the head of legal, now fired from the company by Musk, and others in the company that were also focused on policy. There's a number of screenshots that have been shared, many showing that former head of safety Yoel Roth felt that they had moved too quickly on this and that they hadn't found enough evidence that they should have taken motion on this.
Now, as useful of information this is, it was also released on a Friday, which is probably the worst day to release any type of intelligence at all. And by the way, Taibbi's thread, which by the way will be left in the description box of this video, as well as some additional documents, as well as Jack Posobiec, who by the way actually provided more receipts than Matt Taibbi did. With that right there being said, however, though, it once again kind of may have, let's just go ahead and say that you may have kind of bungled getting this information out. Now, guys, pretty much everybody in the world knows about Twitter censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story. They did that. It was a New York Post article that got censored by Twitter. And, of course, Vijaya Gadde and, of course, Jack Dorsey, they sort of censored this. And, of course, it looked like maybe the government was colluding or Twitter was colluding. As a matter of fact, there was even this nice photo that was put up by the Twitter staff where they said that they were happy they were able to censor the information and they were happy to done their part to get Trump out of office, which, by the way, obviously screams shady as hell. And, of course, we can't talk about 2020, but, of course, I'll be leaving this right here up because the establishment point blank told you exactly how they did it about a month after the election was over or about a month after Biden was sworn into office, called the Shadow Campaign. That was a Time Life magazine article. I highly advise you guys go watch it. As a matter of fact, I'll leave a link to it in the description box as well as to go along with this video. Here's the deal, though. Elon, as much of a good troll as this right here was, the information coming out may have been bungled, being put inside of a Twitter thread instead of being put inside of an official document. Now, somebody's going to argue that maybe Elon couldn't have gotten this out there on the mainstream media, and of course the mainstream media would not cover this because, let's be honest, the mainstream media always shills for Democrats. But this type of shadiness has been going on for a while. As a matter of fact, I want to say there were polls that said it was anywhere between 9 and 17% of people would not have voted for Joe Biden or would not have voted, period, if they had known about the Hunter Biden story. So, yes, once again, the online media, of course, the mainstream media as well, centered this story, obviously, to help Joe Biden out. Now, Taibbi references on several occasions that the Biden administration itself had their hand in this as well. That right there would not surprise me because, let's be honest, the Biden administration is just an extension of Obama's third term. I mean, if Obama was not getting some type of positive press, which, by the way, he always did when he was in office, this right here shouldn't surprise anyone. However, Jack Posobiec is the one who provided the receipts saying that the government itself was actually involved. But let me go ahead and take you guys back a little bit. This is going to be a bit of a small montage of the discussion during the debate about the Hunter Biden laptop story, which, by the way, was between Trump and Biden itself during their last debate. And also something else, too, this little bit from Joe Rogan and Mark Zuckerberg to kind of give you guys an idea of how they centered the story and exactly what the intentions were of how they were going to go about actually covering their asses for it.
About Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody. President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
and I have to respond to that.
Please.
Because look,
very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what.
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia.
Gentlemen, I want to stay on the issue of race.
You have to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the.
How does that work? It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely.
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful. But I mean, but basically, a lot of people were still able to share it. We got a lot of complaints that was the case. Obviously this is a hyper-political issue, so depending on what side of the political spectrum, you either think we didn't censor it enough or censored it way too much. But we weren't sort of as black and white about it as Twitter. We just kind of thought, hey, look, if the FBI, which I still view as a legitimate institution in this country, it's like very professional law enforcement, they come to us and tell us that we need to be on guard about something, then I want to take that seriously.
Did they specifically say you need to be on guard about that story?
No, I don't remember if it was that specifically, but it basically.
Russia. It's always Russia. It always goes back to Russia. Now, guys, let's go back to 2016 just for a second. As a matter of fact, you could go all the way back to 2015 for this. As a matter of fact, you could probably go back further than that. The United States has been trying to induce some type of military action with Russia for a while. We found that out when Obama was in office over the Crimea, how basically Russia was allowed to go in and basically take the Crimea. And of course, you had Victoria Nuland saying F Europe, okay? We've been trying to induce a war with these people for a while to try to get them to destroy themselves so that way they can no longer be a problem in the future, which obviously I think is a pretty shady way of doing things. I personally believe that we should only fight wars or start wars if they're actually necessary, which personally I don't want to start a war because, quite frankly, starting a war makes you look like the bad guy. By the way, in no way, shape, or form am I anti-war or anything. If anything, I'm actually very much I'm pro the right types of military action. What I'm not pro is stupid, pointless wars that cost the American people lots and lots of money and, of course, cost them their livelihood and cost us lives on a senseless basis. Obviously, what's going on in Ukraine is really the end result of what they wanted. They wanted a war. They wanted Putin to go in there. They wanted something to try to get Russia to kind of punch itself out. Now, for the reasons why they're doing that, I really and truly don't know. I would direct you to other lectures. There are several lectures on Russia and the United States. Of course, they're all over YouTube. I would probably advise you to I'll probably leave a couple of them in the comment section if I can find them. And I highly advise you guys listen to this. But this is where it always goes back to the same exact thing. We want a war with Russia. We want something to have to we can pin on Russia to get Russia to punch themselves out and try to destroy somebody else. And Ukraine is obviously the battlefield that they have chosen to do this because it is a non-NATO ally, which, by the way, keeps the United States and NATO from actually getting involved. Like I said, we're saber rattling there, and you're probably thinking to yourself, what does this have to do with what you're saying? Well, in fact, it has a lot to do with exactly what I'm saying. Fact of the matter is this right here. This has always been about getting some type of war with Russia and drawing them to end up destroying themselves, which I still think is somewhat shady because we're wasting lives at a very, very ridiculous rate, lives that, quite frankly, don't need to be wasted if you guys are kind of picking up what I'm saying. So, yes, the government, the military-industrial complex, which, by the way, Trump had problems with, he was not going to go through with the actual war itself, and it's probably the biggest incentive of why it was they wanted him out of office outside the normal Trump derangement syndrome. Without coronavirus, there's no way in hell the Democrats would have been able to pull off the 2020 win. And also something else to go on top of this, their candidate list going forward is a pretty crappy one. So they're looking at possibly losing the next 2 or 3 elections. And like I said before, this right here is what this entire thing comes down to is just good old-fashioned politics. They censored the story, obviously, for political reasons. Now, my criticism of Elon Musk is this right here. Number one, you did this on a Friday. Now, guys, this video right here is subject to have a re-upload or a redo at a later date. And the reason why is because the Twitter files only released half of the actual story. Taibbi was only able to get one half of the information out, and Musk has obviously said that there'll be a second one coming. By the way, Musk is also out there saying he's not suicidal. So if something is to happen to him, just know that he did not commit suicide. This is, I think, as a way to try to get it out there in the open to say, hey, look, if something is to happen to me, just go ahead and know I'm not the one who did it to myself. It's also probably something that kind of gets the establishment up in arms saying, look, I'm going ahead and doing this rest of that way. You guys are less likely to come after me at a later date. It does not mean that they won't because the establishment, of course, they go after anybody and everybody, especially if it suits an actual political endgame. Fact of the matter is that the deep state, for the most part, is mostly crony, old, corrupt politicians who want to keep their actual place in power. That is what this is. And obviously the establishment is running out of power and people are no longer trusting establishment, both the left and the right. Of course, a lot of the left-wing anti-establishment figures have kind of sort of lumped in with the establishment itself, kind of rendering them moot. So, yes, Elon Musk did in fact troll the establishment, but he trolled the establishment on Twitter and not actually in the mainstream media. By the way, and I'm going to go ahead and end this section of the video on this right here. There's a lot of tweets from a lot of left-wing commentators. One of them, of course, was Chris Hayes, saying that this was obviously a failure, and they're kind of making fun of Elon over this. I hate to tell you this, guys, but this right here seems more to me like cope. That right here is what this seems like. Now, guys, I've spent a good portion of this video not liking the way Elon did this by way of Twitter, but still at the same time, though, there's a certain amount of those on the Twitter base and the Twitter sphere who, quite frankly, are being, red-pilled at this moment to the actual collusion. Even if you follow Jack Posobiec or if you follow the people who had receipts about the government actually being involved, people are still being red-pilled and people are still finding out what's actually going on. So a lot of these tweets that are coming from these left-wing personalities, for the most part, is just good old-fashioned cope because they know they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and it just brings their trust level down or the trust for them down once again a little bit more. So while effective to some, I don't think it was as effective as we may have desired it to be. Guys, with that right there being said, as I mentioned just now, there will probably be a redo or a re-upload, not to this video right here, but basically a take after part 2 of these Taibbi files come out. So make sure you guys stick around for that. Now, one more thing needs to be said. I'm going to go ahead and make all of my videos for today. I've actually got 2 more videos to make. One of them, of course, is about Alex Jones's bankruptcy. And now you have this euthanasia thing in Canada, which I think is a very, very big story that needs to be shared everywhere. But those 2 videos are more than likely going to get released tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day where I've got things going on in the second half of the day that's probably going to keep me from actually doing content. However, I may be able to do some of the project stuff that I wanted to do. With that right there being said, let's go ahead and go to the update section of the video. Make sure you guys hit the like button on this video. Make sure you guys share it. Sound off in the comment section. I'm going to get you guys' thoughts, and let's go ahead and transition to that. As I said at the beginning of the video, guys, this portion of this video right here will be edited into every single video that's released on Monday. Now, guys, I want to talk about this because I think you guys need to be kind of giving another heads up. I want to kind of do that. I understand that sometimes these update videos are a little bit aggravating, but at the same time, that I feel you guys need to be informed so that way you guys are not caught off guard when you notice a little change. Now, guys, I told you guys that on John Claymore that eventually I would be putting a lot of these videos more towards, I'll be going behind the actual computer itself. That's true. On Gear Issue 33, the same exact thing is going to be occurring. The video, by the way, for Gear Issue 33 is obviously going to be mostly about what's going on in Ukraine, kind of a prepper take to kind of get you guys ready for what is actually set to happen, what you're about to hear. But I want to go ahead and take care of the Gear Issue 33 portion of these updates first. Okay, guys, I've already said this before, and I mean this, that there's going to be more military movie related, more military history. We're going to transition that content. We're going to go ahead and try to do it now. The first few videos you guys can expect is stuff like top 15 World War II movies, top 15 war movies of all time, top moments in war films. I've even already got my list prepared and even some of my script for that. Clips and stuff I've not actually downloaded or actually screen recorded, but that right there will be occurring here soon. There is one particular project, the first main project that I actually want to work on right now is this one on First Blood. Now, guys, I'm sure most of you have seen the Rambo series. The book First Blood by David Morrell obviously was the inspiration, the framework for the actual movie itself. The actual story of the movie itself, like all the monotony that occurred on the set of that film as they were trying to make it, which, by the way, it was not made in 1981 and released in 1982. That's actually not entirely true. It was actually made a little bit shorter than that. And Stallone actually had to buy the rights to that film at an auction, and he had to make some cuts to it. Basically, it was like a project film for him that he ultimately got down to 90-some-odd minutes and released. There are obviously some differences from the book. For example, Rambo, the character of Rambo, dies in the actual book. I do advise you guys go read the book, or you can do the audio book, which, by the way, you can find on YouTube. I actually read the book a year ago, but I rewatched the audio book or re-listened to it to kind of like have it read back to me to kind of refresh it because I haven't had really the time to actually physically sit down and actually read. However, I am going to start reading more on my own aloud, obviously for my voice, because sometimes I have a hard time stuttering and sometimes I stammer in front of the camera. May actually improve the speech. But that right there is a project to kind of expect on the horizon, probably the very, very first big one. Of course, it would be like a long review, like you would catch an actual movie review, but it would obviously go into talk about stuff like PTSD, the situation at the time, the Vietnam War. And there's also this very, very interesting dialogue in the book that was obviously not in the film between Troutman and Teasel, which there's a lot more going on there with Teasel than was actually presented, which a lot of people didn't pick up on. It was talking about the troops coming home. Now, to the Claymore section of this video, and by the way, a lot of these camera videos, a lot of these videos that I'm doing right now in front of this iPhone and a microphone, a lot of these type of videos right here are going to be going on Rumble. Now, we'll officially do that the first of the year. I kind of went ahead and posted about 8 or 9 videos to Rumble. I'll leave a link. It's kind of like a collage, so make sure you guys kind of follow me there. The more anti-SJW takes are going to be there. We're going to start doing more projects, more studies. Now, of course, I'm going to continue to do some of those videos here on YouTube as well until we officially kind of like wean our way into that direction. But here's an idea of some of the projects to expect. Steven Crowder changed my mind recently about women in combat roles. That right here is an issue that I think I personally need to tackle, but I think there's a lot more nuance than what may have been given in my original videos on that on Gear Issue 33. Also, how the media manipulates is a project that I did back, I think, in June of this year, but the volume on it was kind of messed up. I listened to it twice, and I just said, I got to take this video down. When my subscribers comes across this, they're probably going to get annoyed with that video, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of redo that one. Of course, we're going to do it a little bit differently. How to fix the GOP is another project. There's one project in particular that I'm really looking forward to doing. And, of course, I want you guys to go back to that video where Jink flipped out and had a meltdown on Tim Pool over the Club Q shooter in Colorado. Jink said a lot of things in that video that, quite frankly, were completely untrue. I think there needs to be an actual honest-to-God rebuttal. And, of course, that topic is going to be about who abuses kids the most. Of course, we're talking about race, ethnicity, actual situation, jobs, jobs, workers, et cetera, school system, Catholic priests, stuff like that right there. We're going to go back into the groomer agenda, which, by the way, is a video that I privatized and eventually pulled down because obviously we might want to wait till we get monetized to actually do that one. But that is one that I actually expect. I want to do one on school shooters, a much more nuanced view on school shooters. Obviously, this channel, especially as it goes more into societal takes, we're going to be doing more stuff like, also another one, liberals and mental illness and liberals and attractiveness. That right there is another one that, quite frankly, I want to do. Now, guys, with that right there being said, this particular clip right here will be edited into all 3 videos for tomorrow. Make sure you guys leave a like on this video. Also, if you want to comment, make sure you guys do so. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, click on the notifications bell. A lot of you guys are subscribed to the channel are not getting my videos because YouTube is not notifying you. I think a lot of that is because of a very, very simple adjustment. Just hit the subscribe button. Make sure it says all, so that way you guys are notified when my videos come out. With that right there being said, I will see you guys later.